There are always challenges. Things always come up. I don't have a crystal ball like anybody. Like nobody has that. I can't see the future, but I do know that, I'm creative. I'm a problem solver, and a lot of people are. Especially that is probably the most important gift that an entrepreneur has. Is that you have to be a creative problem solver. I'm constantly seeking mentors in every avenue of business that I go into. I don't just go in like, hey, I'm just going to figure this out. If I don't know how to do something, I'm going to ask somebody who does. Can I work with you? Can you help me with this? And so you're constantly seeking, mentorship.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Vision Builders, the show about freedom, what it is, what it takes to create it, and share it, and the age-old practice of leveraging other people's hindsight to bring clarity to our own developing stories. And with us today is, well, you might recognize him, you might not. He's a musician, composer, veteran, husband, friend, serial entrepreneur. What am I leaving out? Oh, yeah, real estate developer. You know what? It doesn't really matter. He's here because that's weird to do because we've been friends a long time, to try to go through the list and remember that at the end of the day, you work hard and, things come of it. And so, but Donnie Reis, ladies and gentlemen, is with us on the call today. Say hi to the people.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Man, it's a pleasure, and I'm glad that we got to do this. Donnie, he's not going to say this, but I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Like, he's playing sick right now. He's been here, there, and everywhere, and showing up for a lot of folks, and probably should be in the bed right now. But
I'll be just fine. It's just it's not COVID, so we're fine. It's more just exhaustion.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people who watch my stuff, they can relate to that in the hunt, trying to get there. So, well, Donnie, I've known you for, I was trying to think, it's been 15 years, man.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah. We've been friends, and in fact, when I came to Ohio, I think you were the first friend I made, and it was kind of one of those things where we were just in the same space, and while everybody else was trying to figure out what was going on, you and I talked.
Yeah.
And so this show is, like I said, it's about freedom.
Sure.
But you have a unique perspective. Everybody has a unique perspective. I have a simple definition of freedom. But really, one of the reasons I was so excited to have you on the show, and something happened in your young adult life where it became important for you to respond. And you were in college, Miami University. You were, the road was laid out for you, as it were. And then everything changed. And I would love it if you would just tell the people why I'm being so cryptic and what I'm talking about. Right.
Well, that's funny. Well, I graduated high school and just outside of Cincinnati in 1999, and I was awarded a full violin scholarship to Miami University, which was really a big deal because I was the first man with the last name Reis to ever go to college in my family. And as everybody knows, it's history now. I mean, not ancient history, but it's history. But shortly after being in school, we were attacked on 9/11/2001, and I had already explored options for military service, and I had, was already thinking I was gonna, join the Army, and I'd gone through some steps, and I had actually decided to go to basic training in AIT on the summer. The summer actually right before 9/11. So I got back from Fort Benning, Georgia. Got home in August, I believe, just in time to start the semester, and the towers went down a month after that. And that's when I decided that I was gonna not stay in school, and I was going to give up my scholarship. So I went to see the dean of music, and then I just told the department. I said, "Hey, thank you so much for this awesome opportunity, but I feel called to this fight." And yeah, that's what I did. So that's what he's talking about, everybody. I gave up a full scholarship to college to go to Iraq in 2004. I started my training in 2001. We deployed. We actually were full-time training by late 2002, early 2003, and eventually deployed in 2004. Yeah, and that's it. I think everybody thought I was crazy, but it's the $1 million experience you wouldn't pay $1 for.
Yeah. Well, bro, I mean, honestly, I want to kind of keep on that a little bit, that the people thought you were crazy. Because people who know you, I mean, you've gotten, like me, we're about the same age. You've mellowed out a little bit, but people who have known you for any length of time know a couple things. You're a hammer. When you set your mind to doing something, like, you're gonna do it, one, and then two, you have a way of making it seem silly to do anything other than what you have in mind. Like, it's almost as like you let everybody else around you know, like, well, of course we're gonna go that way. Of course we're gonna do that thing. And so for people who were around, I'm sure, like, you got a chance to go to college, you have this incredible talent and then skill that you developed at violin and music and composition that is really, guys, if you're not familiar with Donnie's work, I understand why he's kind of a behind the scenes guy sometimes when he's not playing rock star with with the front men of country and other such acts that you sometimes play git fiddle with, but you have this incredible gift, and I'm sure there were people who thought, well, dude, you've got the road set. Why would you risk all of this rare to go into the Army when you don't have to?
Sure.
You don't have to. And I'm sure that's what I imagine some people were thinking, that, like, you don't have to do that. Other people, like, you have this thing set before you. What were you thinking? Like, why was it so important for you to, I mean, you said you felt called, but, like, what did that calling sound like to you at the time?
Well, my great uncle Donald, he landed on the beaches of Normandy, in World War II. My grandpa was a Marine Corps veteran. Both of my uncles were Marine Corps veterans. A strong sense of service, and I love this country. And to be frank, if I can, it really pissed me off that happened. I mean, it was such a jaw-dropping, eye-opening experience for me. And I was at an age in my life where I was, an athlete and some of the best shape of my life. I was the sharpest I'd ever been, and then I felt like it wasn't because I had to. It was because I wanted to. Mm-hmm. And it never crossed my mind otherwise. Yeah. It was they need young, fit, intelligent people to help defend people around the world against these evils and tyranny, and that's what I believe this country stands for, and it's what it's always stood for, and I was proud to be a part of that.
Wow, yeah. You hit on a couple of things in that. One, this idea of focus, like, it's not just a suspicion that your friends have about you. Like, once you've decided, made up your mind, I'm doing something, everything else kind of just every other option, it's like it just shrinks from the game board. It's not even
sure. Well, it's all it's all or nothing. You got to focus on what you're doing at the time, or you'll never, you don't want to be a jack of all trades and a master of nothing. Why not when you're, when God gives us these great opportunities, and we have these forks in the road, and we have preparation meets opportunity. it's all about it's all about those leaps of faith that we take. It's all about those things that we do and how we execute those things. And you know, it's about conquering those fears, because when you have an opportunity to do something you've never done before, you know, instinctually, you know, you're going to react. For a lot of people, they'll react by, I'm not going to do that. People have a fear of failure. Where you know, some of us are like, oh no, I'm going to go learn that, and I'm going to go try to be the best at it.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
You know, why not?
Yeah, well, you only have the one life, man. And I feel like, you know, in our friendship and the time that I've known you, that's one thing that's been super evident. Like, you've never really fooled around with trying to do it all. You're like,
no.
you've been that guy, you know, I imagine even before you went to I didn't know you before you were in the Army, but I feel like I've seen these patterns in you play out. Like, once you've decided to do something, I know I keep saying that, but like once you kind of he's like, you have very little patience for things that get in the way of what you're trying to accomplish. I mean, even something down to like when you were rehabbing the store so that Christy could your wife, Christy could build the sweet shop.
Sure.
Like, the way you approached that was baffling, I'm sure, to a lot of people, me included. It was like, you know, here you are doing your thing, and your thing's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
To stop all of that and become arguably like one of the best contractors in town, and you're not even a contractor. Like, you went.
No, well, you know, that was my duty to my wife, to her family, to my family.
Mm-hmm.
That was the opportunity that was presented before me at that time, and it required my attention. It required my hard work, and you just got to get it done.
Yeah, and
come hell or high water, you got to get it done.
Yeah. I mean, and what's interesting is the effort of that. What you set out to do, a lot of people have tried and failed at, and they've come up with all sorts of reasons. I don't want to throw shade at anyone, because life can be hard.
Sure.
But like, I've heard 1,000 excuses why the venture that you had would have failed. It didn't fail. I mean, it was shockingly, was it profitable, like in the year, like a year? You were in the.
Yeah, it was yeah, it did not take long at all, and it was but you know, you used a good word there. You touched on something. They're excuses. You know, I mean, there are always challenges. Things always come up. I don't have a crystal ball like anybody. Like, nobody has that. I can't see the future, but I do know that. You know, I'm creative. I'm a problem solver, and a lot of people are. Especially that is probably the most important gift that an entrepreneur has, is that you have to be a creative problem solver.
For sure.
Because you know, that's a lot of what we do in the military. I mean, that's a lot of what our job is. You're 6,000 miles away in the middle of nowhere, you know, learning as you go. Everything's OJT. So you either do what you say you're going to do, or you don't.
Well, and in some cases, I feel like, you know, when you're soldiering in an active battle situation, you'd either do what you say you're going to do, or people get hurt, right?
Sure, 100%. Yes.
The
you
truth
have to pay attention.
Well, yeah, like one of the things that I've tried to work is, you know, people that I've worked with is try to project their future, the future they want, as an actual character, as a friend, and start treating their future as if they're a present friend right now. And if you don't do what you say you're going to do, your friend gets hurt.
Right? Yes, absolutely. And you know, and more importantly, I mean, you know, my dad told me when I was growing up, is something that's always stayed with me. He said, you know, the only thing that you have, son, is your word.
Yeah.
You know, nobody wants to be called a liar.
No, nobody does.
You know, it comes to, I mean, that sounds a bit juvenile and maybe glib. I don't know if that's the right word, but I think it's true.
Well, I mean, but the thing is, truth is redundant, isn't it? Like, it seems a little juvenile, but it's not juvenile. It's one of those things that people hear all the time and then just don't do. Because, like, I mean, I think everybody, the fact that the fitness industry is a $10 billion industry or something ridiculous. I think it's more than that. The last time I checked it, that's what it was. And
It's crazy.
it's crazy. Is it, I mean, when in fact, like, nobody's really confused as to what to do to be fit, right? Like,
No, you just have to do it.
just the doing of it is the difficult part. And I want to turn back the clock a little bit, man, because you just brought up Big Don, and I know, like, your family is a big part of your story. Yeah,
Sure.
like, I feel like that's true for everyone, but for you, it's always been clear that that's been like your heartbeat is where do you fit in the roles that you have in your family. And just kind of going back, like, where did this ethic that you have, I mean, some might call it a talent, to just like focus, like get the blinders on and get to work on something. Where did that come from? Was there somebody that taught that to you, or did you just?
Yeah, well, yeah, my dad, I mean, my dad's, wonderfully, is a wonderful man. He's an honest man, he's a hardworking man, and he really ingrained that in me, and my dad was, there was, look, we didn't grow up having whatever we wanted. I'll put it that way, but we never needed for anything. And I saw the way my dad worked every day in the heat and in the cold and outside, and as a service technician and manual labor, very blue collar. But it never stopped him from. He never missed a ball game. He never, there was no commitment. There was no commitment that he wouldn't honor. There was, we built, all the neighbors' decks, and it's just kind of, we worked on cars together. If I've gotten a wreck when I was in high school, we went down to the junkyard and we got the parts and we went back to the house and we put it back together, and that was it. It's just, and I think, but no, I mean, very much so. My grandfather was the same way. I mean, my dad's both my mother's mom, both, everybody in my family's hardworking and that. And so I had a lot of positive role models.
Yeah.
That really instilled that, men that I looked up to, that not honoring your word and being lazy were not things that were tolerated, because there were people that were dependent upon my father, and he'd be damned if they weren't going to be taken care of. I mean, same with my wife, my wife's father, he was the same way.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
When I started, I've been with my wife, Christy and I've been together for almost 20, it'll be 20 years in September. 20 years and 20. It's been 20 years.
It has.
No, it'll be 20 years in 2021. So we've been together for 19 years. And so, I mean, I was still, a very young man, and when her father, was still around, and he ingrained that in me as well.
Yeah.
I saw his work ethic. So I just have always had, the men closest to me have always been a positive, influence to me. Same with the women. We just and so I always wanted to honor that, and I always wanted to do a good job.
Yeah.
Not for accolades, for my own 2 cents, for them. I didn't want to disappoint anybody.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and you're speaking something now to identity. Like, at some point, do you recall a moment in time, or was it just kind of a gradual thing where the congruence, or the consistency, integrity, if you will, of like what you say and who you are, like that became, I mean, because I keep saying, like, everyone who knows you knows a few things about you.
Sure.
And anyone who knows you, it's funny because, like, they all tell the same story, for better or funny. Worse, but I probably laughed to the point of tears a few times on account of you and your story. And
oh yeah.
But yeah, like, but that was there a moment in time that you would say, like, okay, before I do anything, I need to make sure that the guy that I am to myself matches up with the guy that I want to be out in the world? Was there
that was just a gradual process of ups and downs, just of life in general. I mean, eventually it's you stop testing the boundaries, see what you can get away with, and you start trusting your gut, and you know what you should and shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
But that's a gradual process. It's just it's just been and come on, I haven't figured it out. I'm still learning. you know, every single day of my life. You know what I mean? So I'm just attempting to not make as many pitfalls as I did the last time. Life is just a constant learning lesson. It's just a road that we're on, that we're traveling, and some people pay attention and some people don't.
Yeah. Well, that's, I mean, would you say then, because that there has been like a growing trust that you have that you will show up and be
absolutely. And as the older I've gotten, the responsibilities that I've been trusted with and the things that I've been stewarded have become greater. So they're it's like, I mean, the things that I'm stewarded, the things that I'm a steward of now and the things that I'm entrusted with now were not the things you would have entrusted to me when I was 17. That doesn't mean I wasn't working hard at other things. But yeah, absolutely not. I mean, it's a growing process of maturity. You just, as you go through life and as you learn, and success is absolutely born from failure. You have to just do things, and you almost have to fail to learn how to succeed.
Yeah. Not that you need me to agree with you, because experience will make that point quite clear.
Sure.
I could not agree more. You were there with me during the dark decade, so to speak, of my own.
You were all right, brother. You've always been able to let things roll off your back and kind of see. You're always a light at the end of the tunnel, half glass full type guy. So there's no keeping. Yeah, there's a good saying. There's no keeping a good man down.
Well, I appreciate that. But while I was not being kept down, to use your own, I was learning a lot of lessons, right?
Oh yeah, learning a lot about people.
Yeah, a lot about people. As a matter of fact, actually, it was you that kind of, when I came to Dayton, Southwest Ohio area, I was a little confused culturally. And I think, honestly, I remember it was a series of conversations that I had with you that kind of let me know, like, what is the zeitgeist, the spirit of the age, so to speak, in this area, where I went, oh, because I came here trying to use the same, like, Atlanta, LA, Nashville perspective, and it wasn't working for much of anything that I was doing. And I think it was you that kind of sat me down and were like, these are the values that are most important to people here.
Yeah.
And you got to adjust your lens as to how you measure good people based on their values, not yours.
Exactly.
So I mean, that was maybe one of the, now I didn't like wake up the next morning and, everything's perfect. I mean, it was a conversation with you, honestly, you were like my guide in that way of like, listen, you need to know a thing or two about the Midwest mind. It's almost like
this is what matters, and this is what does not matter.
It's exactly. Like, it's almost as if you were like, hey, Chu, could you stop running to that wall, man? I'm tired of watching you get.
Yeah, you look silly. Quit doing that.
Yeah. Well, but I appreciate that in any case, and
of course, anytime I get an opportunity to be kind, I'll always take it.
Well, one thing too, I mean, I know you and I have been talking about like kind of theoretical things, but like the truth is, I think for the sake of my audience, it might be useful to kind of build a picture. And I know you don't care about accolades, you never have. As a matter of fact, in some things that we did together, that became a point of, well, loving contention, but like, dude, talk about yourself more, man. Promote yourself more. And you were like,
well, I mean, it's so, now, we've made the jump. I've been in and out of Nashville for, Most of my career, and 3 to 5 years ago, I started really making the full jump, and then a couple years ago, I made the jump where I actually pulled my whole family down here, and I built a recording studio, a really beautiful room. Just actually got a really good write-up from Westlake Pro. We had Avid, who owns Pro Tools, API, who made the console that I have in there. They funded a photo shoot that came in and did a big interview and a big write-up and a blog on their, it's just really nice because those are three very, prominent industries in the, prominent businesses inside of the industry. So that's been, we're coming into year 3 for the studio. It's very successful, very busy. I'm getting a chance to really, I'm getting a chance to really develop and meet a lot of young kids that are, going into the development arm of the, major labels and into the devilish wicked the devilish wicked industry that is entertainment. But I love it, and it's a great thing. So, now I'm getting to do everything from, I'm probably writing, 3 times a week, always for or with, established artists, some famous, some young, and on their way up. I'm working with all different tiers of people at all different levels, doing all the, everything from the composition to playing.
Yeah. I'm going to interrupt you for just 1 second, man.
Yeah.
You said something that I don't want anybody to miss. And you said it twice, and but I'm going to say it anyway. Like, you said from the famous to the young. And I hope everybody caught that. Sometimes in our minds, when we're on a journey, we're in the hunt, we're going after our goals and dreams and such things, like, we forget that there is a time, there's an amount of effort and time over time, consistency over time.
Yes.
That price must be paid. And I think a lot of times people think that, well, if I'm talented or if I'm gifted and if I look the right way and say the right things, won't somebody just invite me into that world? And I feel like that's the biggest smokescreen the entertainment industry has ever sold. Because the truth is that, no, there is like dogged, hard work, love for the work.
Sure.
Like, I know a lot of people who have had some levels of success with, over the years working or whatever. And I don't know a single one who can't, show me evidence, not that they're trying to, but it's obvious, of not just their Malcolm Gladwell 10,000 hours, but in many cases they're 50. They're 100.
Oh yeah.
I was actually out in LA doing some sound engineering back in another lifetime when I used to do that sort of thing. But for a show out in LA, and Abraham Laboriel, who is maybe one of the most recorded musicians on track ever. I mean, he was on the Frozen soundtrack both times.
Sure.
So he's this big, wonderful man, deep voice, white hair, and he plays the bass like most people breathe. And I got a chance to ask him the question, like, how much preparation goes into performance? And he said, honestly, for every minute of performance, there's probably about 24 hours of preparation behind it. And he said, don't misunderstand. I don't mean that I'm actually practicing 24 hours for each show. But the level of love and consistency that I put into the work, my craft, it equals to that. And
sure.
So when you say the words, it just triggers stuff like that. When you say the famous or the young, well, the young just haven't had a chance to put in that time yet, or build those relationships, or understand how big a role integrity plays in this whole thing.
Absolutely. Well, and the cool thing about development, the cool thing about working with, I have one of my A&Rs sent me a MP3 today of a 13-year-old kid singing something that he wrote, and it's on par with anything that's out there. And so what I try to do is surround myself with other people that have the same type of character that I have and the same type of values. and then when we get a chance to work with these young kids, we can hopefully and surround them in an environment that empowers and nurtures them and doesn't enable them to go through some of the pitfalls that we might have gone through, and some of these traps that they can get put, that they can fall into, and because you only want other people to succeed. You can't, that you have to want that for other people. And, unfortunately that's not the case, all over the place. And, business can be tough. And so you've got these just young, brilliant minds that are so naive to the world and what's going on. And you have to, and mentor and allow them to learn these things at the proper pace. And like anything, they're going to make whatever decisions they're going to make, but you're just trying to help. And it's really an awesome thing to do. And then I get the chance to work with guys who are older than me, who are so, have, 10, 15, 20, 10 number ones a piece, and if, been my heroes, guys I grew up listening to on the radio, and so I have the opportunity to then get wisdom from them as well. So, I'm constantly seeking mentors in every avenue of business that I go into. I don't just go in like, hey, I'm just going to figure this out. If I don't know how to do something, I'm going to ask somebody who does. Can I work with you? Can you help me with this? And so you're constantly seeking, mentorship.
Yeah. Well, and also too, when people check your rap sheet, they know that you're not full of crap, right? Like they know that you've clearly.
Well, I certainly hope so.
At this point, they either don't know how to use the internet, or they would prefer to go with their gut without checking on any sources. Because honestly, sure. when I say that, like, for a person who's, you said two things also that I think are wildly important. One is like this idea of mentors, collapsing timeframes. You could go try to figure it out yourself, or you could get a coach.
Respect your elders.
Respect your elders, right.
Those people have gone before you and done it, man. You can't BS the BSer,
No. And that's that, but that has become a gut reaction for you. It wasn't always. Right?
No. But especially in my youth, I had it all figured out when I was 17, man.
Isn't that something?
I knew everything about everything.
But now getting a coach and getting someone to help you, with this whole body of work behind you, that says like when you put your mind to something, you do it. So they're not wasting their time or their effort, their energy in you. Is huge. That's a huge. I mean, anybody watching this right now, hit the like, hit subscribe, whatever, because like this is content that I hope keeps bubbling up. But so that getting a coach and collapsing timeframes. But the other thing that you said, you were talking about this idea of mentorship and being able to pour into people, but also having, one of the things that I've worked with when I've talked about a lot with the people that I've worked with is this idea that any person who's trying to produce anything in the world at a healthy level and also, proactively, productively, you're going to have relationships in three directions at all times. If you're going to be,
sure.
You got to have people that you're pouring into. You got to have peers who you can, cut your teeth, work things out.
You work with.
Exactly. And then you got to have people who have been further down the road than you. And if ever there's like a breakdown in those three relationships, your ability to produce will take a hit. Like,
yep.
In my experience, without exception. And so I just want to make sure that people are catching that stuff, because you're throwing it down quick.
Well, those are just things that I've learned to be true, through experience, through wisdom. Those are things that I know to be true. They were not things I always knew, and they were not things I always understood.
Yeah.
But now I know, it's just, you constantly have to, you just have to you have to make an attempt to surround yourself with people who are you don't want yes men, but you want like-minded people. You want people with work ethic. You want people with wisdom and knowledge and experience. You want people who tell the truth, and you just want to be around as many people like that, because then you can become I believe that just the best you can be.
Mm-hmm.
If you hang out with people that if you hang out with drug addicts, you're probably going to become a drug addict.
Very high.
Unless you're the counselor at a church, or you're part of a recovery thing.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Well, one of the things that I hope that this show does is that it puts people in perspective with a couple of things. One being people being able to develop what freedom looks like for them. I feel like a lot of times the word success gets co-opted and convoluted with so many other things.
Success to me is nothing more than peace of mind, body, and spirit. Success is peace.
Yeah. Wow,
to be truly at peace, not being complacent,
mm-hmm.
or anything like that, but being content and where you are moving forward. That is success, because the lack of success to me is chasing your tail around. I mean, just swimming upstream your whole life.
Well, you said content with where you are and where you're going.
Exactly.
You can't be content in that definition if you're not going somewhere, right? So you still got to be working and trying to build and become that next version of you. But
100%.
But yeah, like I feel like, my working definition, I didn't want to say this at the beginning, but my working definition of freedom is really simply the ability to create that which brings you joy and blesses other people.
Absolutely. Manifest and the ability to manifest what you can create inside of your mind.
Yeah. Yeah. And so all of these little nuggets, all these clues that we're talking about, it certainly has a lot to do with creating it. What does sharing freedom look like to you? I think you touched a little bit about what you might believe on that in the whole idea of like mentoring these young people, but that's also part of your day job too. So
sharing freedom is being free in your own, and being free and expressing that and living that. But then also embracing those that would also like to do that as well. You gotta meet people where they are, no matter what. I'm not gonna, unless you're, a total jerk or I don't want to really be around you, or you don't, I also won't BS you if you don't have the goods to do a specific task. I'm not trying to be in the NBA, it's because I'm not a good basketball player. You know what I mean? But it's being realistic, and it's also sharing what your wisdom, your experience, and embracing that in a way that's realistic to that person. So you never want to overpromise and underdeliver. Right. You just want to allow people to engage in whatever capacity they would like.
Yeah, that's huge. It's huge. I feel like a lot of people who are in leadership roles struggle with it. I know I have struggled with that idea of like engaging with people where they would like, where their vision can take them, stretching their vision by the association with you perhaps, but really getting to the bottom of what's important to people.
Yep.
And taking that responsibility of kind of stewarding that, what you
yes
see.
And not putting your idea of what that person should be on them, not projecting that.
Yeah,
because that's unfair too.
Exactly.
That's unfair. Some people don't want to start their own business, man. They just want to go to work and then go to the lake on the weekends. There's nothing wrong with that.
Not at all. Yeah, 100%.
You know what I'm saying? So you have to recognize what people want to do. You have to recognize kind of where they are, and then you have to just embrace that and be the best you can. I mean, I've had to learn that as an employer and as a leader. I have had to learn that the hard way.
Yeah.
Very much so. You can't, not everybody is, it takes all kinds of kinds.
It does. It does. I always, like I don't really work in the entertainment industry anymore, but I learned a very expensive lesson once in the studio. I hired a percussionist to play a part And I hired her because I loved what she did.
Mm-hmm.
I thought she was incredible at what she did. I loved her sound. I loved her approach to it. But then I brought her in the studio and I gave her a line that I wanted on the song that we were working on. And I was like, play this. And she struggled with it.
Sure.
And I was shocked by that because I was like, you're so good. Why can't you get this line? And then at some point, I actually, after like 4 hours of demoralizing this poor girl, I was young, by the way, everybody. I was still in my 20s.
Yeah, sure.
I said, okay, I'll tell you what. Well, I'm just going to play the track and I'm going to let you just do your thing. Just play around with it. And I'm gonna, give you some time and I'll take a break. I walk out for like 5 minutes, turn back around, come back in, and she's playing something that is completely different than anything that I thought of, but it's better.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I was like, I'm a jerk. Like I was sitting here trying to make her do what I wanted to do instead of remembering why I hired her in the first place.
Yeah. Well, it's about the bigger picture, especially when when it comes to that type of stuff. You got to realize, like, these are analogies that I'll use that I think that work. Not everybody plays shortstop. Somebody's a catcher, somebody's a pitcher, somebody plays left field, somebody's the coach, somebody builds the dugout, somebody hands out the popcorn, somebody there's a beer guy. It's the same thing you don't hire the guy, you don't hire the finish carpenter to do your drywall. You hire the drywaller. You don't hire the plumber to do your electric. And so it's understanding the bigger picture of how to run projects and what you have to do is you have to put people in positions to where they can excel and empower them. So if you don't recognize that, then you'll be constantly beating your head against the wall, and you'll never be achieving the goals at an efficient enough pace, and you'll never be getting the quality that you need to continue to grow because you're just beating your head against the wall, and you're hiring the wrong people to do the wrong things. You're not appropriately, and that's the thing about leadership is you have to have a bigger picture view and understand of how to not manipulate people. That's absolutely not what you're doing. It's not. People are not chess pieces. It's how to simply create environments in which they can succeed, and the sum of the parts then becomes greater.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and that's how you do that.
That's
in my experience.
No, I mean, and mine too. And I imagine there's a lot of people listening to this nodding their heads, going, "Oh yeah, that's." And some of those lessons are hard fought, but some of them they really can be assimilated when you hear them and try to go, "Oh yeah, like this is what I've experienced." It kind of resonates with those things. So I hope that. Wow, this has been really, really good. Obviously, I'm sad that you're not down the street anymore.
That's all right. You can always come visit me. I'm not hard to find.
That's true.
Your mother-in-law came down here and visited.
She did.
Yep.
And I need to be next down 6.
Yeah.
Well, man, it's been a pleasure spending some time with you. Where can people get in touch with you? Where should people be checking out?
You can go to, I don't know if you have, you can check, on my website, my company name, and all of that stuff. You can check Donnie Reis, DonnieReis.com, Instagram's at Donnie Reis Music. You can see, you can go to the studio, 12-3 South. Provide them links or whatever so that
I'll put all that stuff down.
Put all that up there, and you can just kind of get an idea of what we're doing and what I've done and what I'm currently working on, and just you can just feel free to follow me for email, text, whatever.
Sure, man. You're a guy that I you're easy to root for because you care about people.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Well, I think that's important. I wish there were a lot more of that going around.
Yeah, well, you keep loving on these young kids, man, and there will be. All right, brother. Well, like I said, it's been a pleasure. All of you who are watching this, go follow Donnie, see what he's up to, and who he's connected with, and you'll be blessed by that. And if you enjoyed this show, this podcast, make sure you leave a comment. I want to know about you. I want to know what ways that we can bless you more, make this content better. And of course, if you liked it, hit the like button. If you really liked it, hit the subscribe button. If you really, really liked it, do all that, and also share it with your friends. And as always, build a vision, build a life. Peace.
All right.